Ankh and the Anchayats. And all right, GM Kristen, what do you have in mind? Pretty brutal score, new. Yeah, Josh, it was a pretty brutal score. Hey, you want a tier 7 sensorium? You gotta do things. You gotta raid House King Claith and fight the attendant and all the other horrors out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love it. Thanks for taking all that time. That was really penance heavy, but it was very cool.
Super happy to.
Yeah, so I think we talked about doing a little, I don't know if it's a score, a vignette, but just kind of playing around with how Ankh originally got to Duskfall, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because she didn't just come in through, like you said, she didn't just come in through the Imperial City, sign all the proper paperwork, and walk in, right? She's hidden. I think no one even really knows her full name. At least it's not documented anywhere in Duskfall.
Right.
And so
her name is Isha, right? Like that's what she'd be going by on the ship and like by people that know her. But she definitely doesn't have an identity in Duskfall.
Yeah. And remind me of your aunt's name again.
Nyrix.
Yeah,
I think
that's such a cool name. No, you're right.
Nyrix. Nyrx.
Exactly how I just spelled it.
It's nice.
Perfect. Nice. On the same page. So I think that Isha at this time,
yes,
before she becomes Ankh, would have snuck over on a Leviathan hunting boat. Because doesn't Isha's family own Leviathan hunting?
Yeah, they do.
The fleet.
Let me just double check that, but I'm fairly certain that we have.
I feel like that came up in a backstory already. Yeah.
Yes, that we have a fleet of Leviathan hunters, and I'll just, if anyone else knows about the Anchayat family, you can feel free to confirm with me one way or the other. But I'm fairly certain that they do. And yeah, I think I'm going to look up, see if I can get some names of the ships. We might have one, but I think, the Anchayat fleet normally goes and does Leviathan hunting. They don't need very much there for themselves because of the big spirit well in Utawasha that like sucks in all the ghosts that would threaten them. And so I think they sell the excess at very high rates to Akros as a way to sort of try and, that's one of their main leverage points is what they can sell the electroplasm for. So yeah, I imagine stowing away on one of these ships that enters Akros waters under very, contentious, like, we don't, that fleet should be controlled by the Empire, but it's not.
Right. How many ships do you think travel together at one time?
I think there's one giant like tanker and like 3 or 4 support ships that kind of do scouting and also do ferrying people. I think the big Leviathan Hunter itself is like too big to even bring in dock. And so you have to have like these like ships that like ferry back and forth and whatnot. Like it has to like be parked outside near White Crown. And then others come in. I also think that there is a prohibition about entering Duskfall waters with the Leviathan Hunter. It's such a massive vessel. It's meant for attacking Leviathans, but it like absolutely could be used as a warship without that much modifications. And I think that there's something like you just don't bring your warships into other people's territories out of like even though it's technically not. There are legit warships with cannons and things like that on it, but like if you fight demons, you could probably fight other things too. And so so I think there's a bunch of support ships that are much smaller that travel with it that are
okay. And if the tanker isn't going anywhere near, isn't docking at all, then Isha would be stowing away on one of the other ships, I'm guessing.
Yeah, at least at the end, but quite possibly the whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah.
And I think that being noble, I think that your aunt Nerix is who would be accompanying you, but it would probably just be the two of you,
We're trying to keep it
since
very low profile.
exactly you try and don't want to be seen, don't want to be don't want to be seen at all if possible. Um,
I'm for all this. Is my aunt alive?
how long ago is this? I can't remember
Not
how long.
that long ago. I feel like kind of like the Rusted Lock is her first crew. She hasn't been around like
Okay.
Penance is. Maybe a year ago. Something in that space. Not a whole long time ago.
She's 100% alive.
Nice. Thank you.
There's
I
just
mean,
too
that's
many
what I was hoping
options.
for, but I was like,
Yeah, there's just too
uh,
many options. Yeah, I think that she's alive, and I think that she is a little annoyed that she has to be hiding away and coming on this
yeah,
journey.
sure.
Um, yeah. So,
Just
I
I finally looked it
yeah.
up. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, go ahead.
Yes, the Anchayat family has a half of the Aruvian Leviathan fleet, which is 4 vessels known as the Sky Fleet, since each one is named for a bird. We have
Oh,
we have some bird themes in this episode.
we
So I
do.
think there's 4 Leviathan hunters that are each named
Mhm.
after birds, and then there's all these other sport ships. Tons of them don't count as Leviathan hunters, but they travel with it. So yeah,
Okay.
um, I just because it's Anch's kind of jam to go very hardline family. They're the snake and the owl. I just want to say this is the owl.
Nice.
Also, it's a little nod to John's Lady Blackbird, where they fly in the owl. So just
Oh yeah.
anywho, so
I
yeah,
love
I
that.
think we kind of see the owl often, out one of those little tiny portals, and Ankh is trying to reassure. Well, it's this or wait years for the paperwork to pass through. We don't, and they're like all like in cloaks and like they have like forged paperwork and all this stuff.
Yep.
Is there any other way to get inside this festering city?
No, my dear, this is the best way, as beneath us as it is. It's the only way with a chance of survival.
Yeah, and she sort of looks out. One side we see the owl, and she looks out the other side, the other portal, and we see Dustfall, and we see the lightning towers, and we see all the smokestacks and all the stuff going. And she's like, "What do you think, What do you think, Duskwall?" I think she doesn't call it Duskwall. I think she calls it Duskwall because that's another name for it.
It
What do
is,
you
yeah.
think, Duskwall? And I think she like does some like fact stuff. She's like the North Hook, formerly owned by the Scoves in the Imperium 500, conquered by the Emperor, and she sort of says like "All hail the Emperor" in like really derisive tones. All hail the Emperor, all hail the immortal Emperor. What do you think Dustfall will be like? Can it possibly be as filled with corruption and backstabbing as they say?
It's even worse than stories you've heard, since your ears have been protected for most of your life. It's filled with the lowest of the low, and it will be a dangerous mission for you to be there. I think that Nerix does know that it's dangerous, but
Hmm.
also I think because she's annoyed that she has to be here,
Hmm.
is like poking at Isha, right? Like
Yeah,
trying to like get a rise out of her. So
nice. I think it works, and she's like, she like flinches, and like we see her like whip out her like um we see her whip out the demon whip that we have mentioned but has not been used in the past.
Yeah.
And she like flings it across the room, and there's these like poles that go up, these metal poles, these pipes, and she like it like snags and like wraps around all these pipes, and you can see from all the scratch marks on the pipes that she's been like practicing on these. Like this is not the first time she's done it. She like snags and like wraps around. She like holds on to the like pulls the pipe, and she like flexes to bring it. You know, obviously she can't like pull it towards her, but like she brings tension in the rope, and she says, "We will recover each of the 999 celestial beings, and we will bring them to our family where they rightfully belong. We will not fail this. We were sent for a reason." And then she like lets go the pole as though it was one of these celestial entities that she was going to trap. And like it's she definitely like. That's like she didn't want to say that. That was like she said that because Nerix got a rise out of her. She was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do it. This is the mission. I know how to toe the line, and I know what we're after." So,
yeah, I think that Nerix just kind of like sighs and rolls her eyes a little bit, because she knows that she got the rise out of Isha, right?
Yeah.
Where do you think they would be hiding on the ship? I'm guessing it would be.
I think I think someone, the captain of the ship or some other important people, like know who they are well enough to know that like on the ride there, they're going to be in some kind of quarters. But once they get close enough, they're going to have to like hide in they're going to like be like put into cargo containers or something like that. Like I feel like they're not going to spend the whole voyage in a box, but like maybe this is the point where they're like, okay, now we have to go. Like we've had, even though the ship has stunk, it's still been like a room and quarters, and now we're having like go like climb in the potato barrel or whatever, something really, really awful.
Yeah. Oh, I think that the room is, or the quarters are, they're definitely not as nice as like the captain's. But they're fairly nice quarters to everyone who typically is on this boat.
Right.
But I think that to Isha and especially to Nerix, you're already thinking like we're slumming it for sure.
Yeah.
So I think the change of having to go down to like hide in some cargo. I like the idea of you having to be in like this really large crate.
This is like the first mate's quarters or something like that they gave up for us.
Yeah,
and it's still.
Yeah, and I think that the captain, you're 100% right. I think that the captain knows about it, and the first mate, and that's probably it. And so I think it's actually the first mate who like comes by and like raps on the door, and gives like this signal. I don't even think that there's any communication, because there's ears all over the ship. And so I think it's just like this signal that when you first got on the ship, the captain told you like stay in your quarters, and then when you hear this knock, then head out. So I think that happens.
I love it. Yeah, Isha says it's time, and she pulls the hood deeper over her, and she like has all the things they've been packed up for a while, but she grabs her satchel and sort of double checks all of her accoutrement, and she goes over to a terrarium, and she sticks her hand in it, and Oris comes out from like over some rocks and like goes up and like under her sleeve, and then she like cracks open the door, and it feels very Cloak and Dagger. She's like looking around, and then just goes and like maybe she just sees the first mate like as they're already like walking away,
as they're like turning the corner.
Yeah, right, and just following them with Nerix behind her, and she's very like, very much does not want to be seen, but she's not. I don't know how many doubts and prowl, or maybe I have one. Like she's trying to be careful, but doesn't really know the sneaky ways. But also, like, I think even if she makes a noise, there's like tons of fucking noises on this boat.
Oh yeah, I think it's more if you directly ran into someone and started to have a conversation, right? Then if someone asks questions, but I think if people, as they're going about their daily like work, I don't think anyone's paying too much attention at this time.
Yeah.
And your aunts definitely have the hood up and following your lead. and you just catch the back of the first mate's uniform as he turns a corner.
Yeah. So we scuttle after them, and we scuttle after him, and yeah, kind of make our way, I assume, to like the hold, right? Like to where their cargo containers are held.
Yeah.
So we can get in one. And yeah, I think Isha absolutely like turns her nose up at this. Like you want me to get in there? Whatever it is. It doesn't matter like what. It's the nicest, poshest cargo container in existence. It's still abhorrent to her.
Yeah. I definitely think it's probably the nicest one they could find at the captain's request.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I mean, you're getting in a box. So no one is happy about this.
Right. Maybe it's like lined with hay or something to make it a little less uncomfortable, there's a little, or a cot or something in there to sit on, but yeah.
No, I like the idea that there's like a bale of hay and like a blanket that has it's moth eaten a little bit. And that's the best.
I think they get in and Isha looks at it and she like lays out the blanket so they can sit on the hay bale with hopefully not getting too much hay stuck in their ass, like how hay just fucking gets everywhere.
It just gets everywhere.
She just like folds out the blanket and like sits on it very primly. It's not going to be a comfortable way to ride out the rest of this trip.
Right. And then I think too that like we don't have to get into it, but like any sort of food or water, you know what I mean, will be handled. No one's going to be, no one's starving.
Right. So. She definitely does like shake. She definitely does like draw in the first mate, like before she gets in the thing. She like grabs him close and like pulls him up and says, your services to the Anchayat family will not be forgotten. And like, like it's very official and like very ominous and like, very full of herself.
Yeah. And I think that he humors you a little bit, right? Like I think he looks up at over your shoulder at your aunt and then, just tips his hat and is like, thank you, ma'am. Yeah. And then heads out. Unless there's anything else you want to say to him. You want to try to order him around or anything?
No. just like
I'm gonna need another blanket.
I just want to have that air of importance,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Bag of cheese and hard bread and a little water. Perfect.
Yeah, there's a little bit of water. Yeah, and I think that as you're kind of settling in as best you can, that you definitely feel the ship kind of rock. Like you felt it hit, right? Like waves or maybe even a small storm, but I think that it's more like a jolt. And that's it for right now. You just feel.
Yeah, I think like Isha like puts her hands against the walls of the crate, like brace herself and like maybe even anyways crashes into Nerix and is like, set herself, and then she's like super alert for a second, but then, and she like tries to peer through like the cracks of the crate, but can't tell anything. And she's like, how long have we been in here? This is ridiculous, right? Like I think she falls into bickering with Nerix just over just like get off my side of the blanket, that's sort of like
right. And I think that the plan is that I mean you should only be in here for a few hours.
Yeah.
Right. It's not
pretty painful few hours.
They're pretty painful few hours. Yeah, exactly.
And tell me please the moment whenever we cross the lightning barrier, like whenever we enter into the waters, we cross the lightning barrier. Because I think that's the moment where Isha's headaches are going to start that basically have not stopped in the last year. Because as soon as we enter the ghost field, I think for her, it's just like, oh my God, all the time. And at first it's going to be really bad. I think she's going to hurl all over her aunt. I mean, I think migraines make you throw up sometimes. I think she just, as soon as we get inside the lightning barrier and she feels all the ghost field energy, it's just so much ghost mind right at you. She's just aware of all these spectral presences, and they've been blocked from her by the ghost field. And there's not a lot of ghosts on the Void Sea. Like the Void Sea, most ghosts aren't seaborn. So the trip itself had been relatively okay, but I think once she gets in, it's boys are bad.
Yeah. Yeah, we can definitely say that you've crossed through it. And so you've probably been bickering, maybe you've been in there 30 minutes, an hour,
Yeah.
and been bickering, and then you can feel that change as you cross through it.
Yeah.
Your aunt doesn't seem affected by it. At least not as badly as you are. She doesn't vomit all over the place.
Between being seasick, having migraines, yeah, I'm just like, and it kills Isha that she loses her composure. She always having your composure is so important in her family, and to do this is such a like it's so embarrassing, but also like she tries as much as she can to hold it in. She's like, like tries to hold it back, but can't. Yeah, and then proceeds to ignore it. She does not apologize. She just pretends like it didn't happen.
As you continue to sit in the crate, like it's not like you can leave the room.
Nope. Maybe she like takes the blanket and folds it over the mess.
Yeah, but then that's
it.
I mean, I think your aunt's noble enough, right? She's been raised with those types of manners that I think she probably ignores you as well. So
yeah.
At least she does that for you.
You try as hard as you can not to do embarrassing things, and then when you finally do them, you just ignore. You just pretend like they didn't happen.
Exactly.
And then people talk about them incessantly behind your back, but
I mean, yes, she's definitely sharing the story with your parents. Yeah, so I think that there's, I think that there's a couple more jolts and maybe some, I'm trying to think of the word. Like you can hear a commotion. You can hear like a commotion above you. And it feels like you're slowing down, maybe a little too early. You can't tell exactly, but it feels like you're slowing down sooner than you thought. Like, oh, are we already docking?
Mm-hmm.
And then just some commotion for right now.
Yeah, I think Isha's doing like everything she can to try and like listen through the cracks and hear if she can pick anything up, but I don't expect to get a lot. I assume that we're like locked in here, like they like nailed us in here, so that someone's gonna have to like pry the box open.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like she's like, I wish I could get out there, but yeah, I don't think Oris is not her seeing familiar that can go crawl through the slot and tell her what's going on. So
wouldn't that be great?
That would be super great if I just had but I do think she would like. I think she would be inclined to like attune to see if there are any sort of supernatural threats in the area, but like she's so overwhelmed right now by the sudden exposure to all of them that like it's just way too much to ask her to try and suss them out. So I think that even that, which would normally be her like leg up, it's like a floodlight of
yeah.
So yeah, she just has to wait it out, which is horrible.
It's
horrible. The worst.
Yeah. So I think that you hear some more commotion and then it's silent. So now you don't hear anything.
I think she'll wait a little bit, but if it continues, eventually she's gonna like be like, "What the fuck, yo?" And she won't say that, but I think she's like, "Hello." Like, which she absolutely shouldn't do, but she's getting nervous.
Yeah, I think Nerix is a little concerned, right? Because there's lots of noises on ships, mechanics, and all of that stuff, and people, and so for there to be so much commotion, and then for everything to go silent for several minutes now, or what seems like several minutes, is concerning. Yeah, and even if you wait, it's still silent.
I think at some point she draws a Hmm. What would she have that would be good for pounding? Um, yeah, I think it's like the hilt of her blade. I don't think really she has. I don't think she really, that like the hilt of a dagger, like a family dagger. She draws out this blade and like reverses the grip and just uses like the metal tip of it and just starts pounding at the where the crate was sealed. And I'm gonna try and put. She's gonna try and push up the, you know, try and get out, see what's going on, at least a little.
Should we do a roll?
Sure, let's do that. I think this should be. I think it's rack. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it's skirmish,
I
which
think
I
it's
would
rack.
love to say. I think it's rack. Yeah. So let's make a rack fortune roll. Rack fortune. And I don't really think there's any help she's going to get from her aunt, nor would she ask.
I mean, her aunt might. Okay, 4.
No, just 1. She's got nothing
Oh,
in
it's
rack.
a 0. Because that's right. You take the less. Okay.
Yeah.
0 dice. I mean, Sean, you did get a devil's crit a couple games ago, so
Oh,
you were
absolutely.
kind of overdue for a 1.
I was due for it. Yeah. I mean, I assume this is going to be a bad outcome. So yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. So I think that first I think you're going to take some harm.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I think it makes sense that you are trying to use, you said a dagger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're trying to use a dagger to open the top of the crate a little bit, and you're too clumsy and you cut yourself.
Myself.
I mean, it makes total sense considering that your headaches have just started and now there's this confusion of what might or might not be happening, and so it makes total sense that you would do that. Oh gosh, a 1. Okay. So
Come at me with whatever.
God, I also think that when you cut yourself, I think that you are startled and you make some sort of noise. You scream, not scream, but you make some sort of louder noise, yes, than you have been making, right?
Yeah. I think it's kind of a yell. Ugh! It's like a yell in frustration and pain. And
yeah. And I think that you hear like this very angry like scream from a part of the ship. And so I'm guessing you're going to go quiet, and if you go quiet, it stops for now. But definitely something screaming.
yeah,
in the ship.
Yeah, I look back. I'm like, I think the cut is probably along this because I'm like holding it like this, and so I think the cut is probably like along the side of my hand or my wrist. And like I look, I'm like and I there's nothing. There's a moldy blanket that's covered in vomit. Like I think maybe I have a sash or something like that to like wrap it up, but it's really not meant for staunching blood.
Yeah,
and I'm cursing in Eruvian, talking about sons of demons in a way you shouldn't speak, is not becoming to speak in front of a noble. But I think I yelp some more, and then if after finally kind of prying it loose, I'm gonna find out what's going on, and I'm gonna start making my own little blood trail to see where that scream was coming from. Assuming I got out. I mean, I assumed that like it was messy and ugly, but that.
Oh yeah, I think the other. I know we're not doing stress or anything. I think the other like bad result from this is that your aunt pretty easily manages to open it.
Oh, nice.
And then is just
nice.
like, and doesn't say anything, just kind of shakes her head. Like,
does she have a good tool for it? Does she like actually have like a shim or something like that is like, oh yeah, I had this, and apprise it? Or is she just really like deft at like takes the dagger and like knocks it and it pops it off. Like what?
Oh,
Just
I think with a one, she takes your dagger and
uh,
does what you couldn't do, and like
nice.
just pops it open without hurting herself, and it's
Yeah,
actually pretty quiet when she does it.
yeah, love it.
Um, so
Perfect.
yeah. So Isha might be feeling kind of badly right now.
Oh, she's feeling bad on many fronts. Yeah, she's full on sulking right now. Um, but yeah, she tries to grip the demon whip and like it hurts so much to try and grab anything that she just like winces and goes back to nursing her hand and
Mhm.
starts walking towards she's gonna I think I'm gonna you know I'm gonna go find the source of this scream and try and observe it, see what's going on.
Okay.
I want to hunt it down.
So I think that when you get back up to the area where like your quarters were, and that you see a few crew members
Mm-hmm.
who are no longer with us. They look like they have met a bad ending.
Oh
They
no.
Yeah, like their faces. I mean, I'm not going to get graphic, but like, their mouths are kind of open in like a frozen scream, and their eyes are open wide, and there's some blood. So they are, yeah. So that's probably a little bit concerning.
Yeah, these violent delights have violent ends. Do does it look like they were? Does there an obvious source of cause of death? Does it look like they were killed with weapons? Does it look like when you say their eyes like locked in horror? I get kind of ghost vibes here. Was it? Does it look like something? Or can I not tell? Is it just oh god, it's ugly and awful?
Um, Remind me, or maybe we haven't talked about this. What is Ankh, or what is Isha's background with anything supernatural?
Pretty strong. I think when she was a child and she looked, we had that moment with flashback to her looking right into
Oh,
the Udu, the sun well, the spirit well.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
since then she's been able to detect the supernatural. That's the reason why she was sent on this mission, is because she's the one in the family, or she's one of the people. I think it's a combination of the fact that she's trustable because she's in the family, and she has this sort of uncanny ability to uh, always be aware of supernatural entities. That she has been trained in the Vasu school, and part of that training has been to be aware of the supernatural. So yeah,
Perfect.
I think she's pretty on point about
Then
it.
I think without any sort of having to attune or anything, then you are pretty sure this is something supernatural. You're pretty sure
Nice,
this is ghost related.
awesome. Well, I'm going to do a thing I really don't want to do then, uh, and I'm going to reach into my with my non-bleeding hand, which is my offhand, right? Because I was using my good hand to try and knock
Yeah.
out. So my offhand, I like awkwardly reaching, when you try and reach the hand into the wrong pocket because you're like your keys are on your left side, but you're holding your coffee with your left hand. So then you're doing
Yep.
that thing where you're trying to get your right hand into your left pocket. She awkwardly like fishes out her spirit mask, all bone, carved in the image of the owl from her family. And we see like for the first time in Dustfall, she holds it there and she looks at it with like a look of like of apprehension and fear. She
Mm,
just knows how bad it's going to be, and then she presses her face into it, and that's the iconic image of Ankh, right? Is this like looking
yes.
like putting on the mask, and as soon as she does, uh, I think she just yells and just wails in pain as like lightning strikes her temples because now she's even more aware of ghosty shit, but
Yeah.
she tries to stifle it, but now she's definitely, one, masks help prevent possession, and they also
Hmm.
allow her to see into the ghost field, and um, allows the trained users to see supernatural energies in great detail. and affords a measure against possession, affords a measure of protection against possession. But yeah, I want to go find the source of this. I want to find the supernatural source, assuming there's one.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's a great thing about being in the gym. You're like, yeah, maybe there's one, or there's like 50. I don't know. What do we need? Actually, I don't even know. Actually, let me take that back. Ankh is not about fighting some random dustfall ghost.
Okay.
I'm gonna put on the mask and all that, but I'm just gonna look for like a dinghy. Like, screw this noise. I don't actually care all that much about any of these people.
Sure.
I'm just gonna go, and I'm gonna still have the mask on so I can detect any supernatural presence that might be coming. But I'm going to go to the bow of the boat and look for a dinghy and try and lower it into the water so we can row ourselves onto shore. Like, whatever's happening here, this is real bad, and I don't want to be part of it. So
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that along the way that you probably pass some more crew members, which likely only strengthens your desire to get off the ship, right? You're like, oh yeah, I'm making the right choice here. Yeah, I don't see why this ship wouldn't have a dinghy, so I think it's fine. I think maybe we should do a roll to see how easy it is for you to do the whole lowering it and getting into it.
Yeah, I think that's probably finesse. Is the skill, which I have no dots in, but I would. But I'd like to. I think I'm gonna ask for an extra die for Nirix to help me do this. I feel like we're both pretty motivated to do this together.
Absolutely.
So let's see how that pans out. Oh yeah, that panned out about as good as I thought it was going to. So that's 3. I mean, between her cut hand and, in my mind, beyond any other complications that you're going to add, in my mind, Ankh just fucking gives up and cuts the lines. Like, fuck this lowering it nonsense. Like, this is ridiculous.
Okay.
And she's just like, assuming they're made out of rope and not chain, like,
say rope.
Yeah, just like,
they are.
Fuck this.
Are you
but like,
are you in it and you cut it, or are you going to cut it and then jump?
I think it's cut it and then, well, obviously the winches need to be possible to articulate from inside, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to lower yourself. Well, no, other people could lower you. I think it's cut it and then jump. I don't think that there's a get in it and then cut it and then hope you don't break your leg.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's cut it, jump in the water, climb aboard the dinghy. But I mean, feel free to make it any other thing worse. Like that's the best case scenario.
I was thinking the most difficult thing would be if you cut it and then have to jump into it, right? Yeah. Because that's a whole nother situation. Yeah, you can. That's a good complication. I think that you can cut it, and now you and your aunt have to jump into it. Yeah.
And a part of it also I envision is that like this thing is probably like locked down. There's some sailor's knot that's tied really tight. It's all weathered by the sea. And like as she's trying to undo the knot, just more blood is just getting everywhere. It hurts like hell. She can't see the knot. And and she's trying to loosen it. And it, sometimes like rope just like won't, especially if it's been pulled really tight, just won't give at all. She's just like, and finally gives up and just cuts it. Let's
I think the other I think I want to add another complication.
Yeah.
And I want to say that as you're getting after you cut it, you hear moaning. And it's not supernatural. Like it's like it sounds like human moaning. And I think that the captain is laying there and he like off to the side, like you hadn't seen him, like he was probably trying to crawl over to do the same thing you were doing and he didn't quite make it. But he is still alive from what you can tell. And so I want to add the complication of is Isha going to take any time? Like, there's a moral decision here. Is Isha going to take any time to help interact with this captain, or you just going to go?
I think I'm not sure if it's a moral decision or a political one.
That's fair.
It could be either or both because he's the captain. If he was a random schlub, this would be a moral decision because she'd be like, whatever, I don't care about you. But because he's the captain and the captain I mean, he's obviously not the captain of the Leviathan Hunter. He's the captain of the smaller vessel, but he's still an important figure within the Anchayat family.
I mean, even if he's paid off, he's the one that did make his first mate give up the quarters for you.
Yeah. So, yeah. But it has to be very quick, right? Like the boat's going to float away. So, so Isha looks at her aunt and looks at the boat and is like, shit. But like, we know that the captain is an important figure. And so even though it might mean swimming a little bit more, she goes over to him and she comes up to him and she like reaches out her off but good but uninjured hand and says, can you crawl? Can you move? And tries to help him out.
Yeah, I think that he groans a little bit as he's getting up, but he takes your hand and he's able to kind of get up and he's hunched over, and so I think he'll need like a little bit of help.
Yeah.
And I don't know how well he can swim, but
but I mean,
it looks like one side, his right side is actually, I'm sorry, I wanted the captain to be female. Right side is has been torn a little bit, like in the arm and even in probably under her uniform on her hip, because you can see blood soaking through. And I think just because of who you are, you recognize that it was a ghost attack, and so you're not sure why she would have survived, but here she is. She wasn't killed instantly, but she's definitely shaken up and bleeding. So
nice. I think if Anch was more alert and thoughtful, I would ask you the question, is there a ghost in her now? But that's not on Anch's mind, right? Like so yeah, she like lifts her, or not lifts, I think she assists her in getting up and like kind of makes her way to the railing, and then is more or less going to like try and flop her over. And there's this scene in Highlander when Connor McLeod has been rejected by his clan's people and they all think he's the devil. And his friend says, can you walk? And he says, oh, bloody well, walk out of here. And I feel like that's like, can you swim? It's like, I'll swim away from this. Like, I don't care whether I'm a horrible injuries, right? Like, it's better than whatever's here. So, I think she, I think I just tossed her into the water. Like, I don't have any elegance to it. It's just like over the thing. And then I'm going to go right after, like, as soon as she's cleared, I'm going to go right after her.
Okay.
My aunt is probably in the best shape of all of us, so I'm not going to assist her. She can probably definitely just down, but I'm gonna basically, and when I go, I'm gonna try and jump sort of in between where the captain landed and where the boat is, because I'm not as injured, and I think I can like leap off and try and land in. My skirts all go up. Fucking mess. Cloak, skirts, big mess, but I think that
Nirix, actually your aunt, is able to land even closer to the boat and is able to get to it first, and then we'll try to assist you getting in.
Awesome.
I don't think we need to roll to have you jump and get in the boat. What do you think?
I mean, the good question. Hey, other doc, thanks for raiding us, joining in the end of this Blades in the Dark game. Yeah, the big question is like, is there interesting stakes behind a mixed or a bad outcome here? Like, I think you freeze to death in the void sea is like not
right
a great outcome. Although certainly either Nirix or the captain could. So if you want to put their lives at stake, I'm happy to make a roll, but I don't really think
This isn't how I want your aunt to go out.
Nice. Awesome. So in my mind, then we don't need to roll for it, but we can say it's a fucking mess. It's one of
Oh,
those
it's a
like
huge mess.
splashing, shit's everywhere.
Yeah.
Nirix is having to help them get up, and water's splashing everywhere, and it's just awful. Um, they're completely drenched by the time they get onto the boat, and the captain and Isha are probably worse for wear. But nevertheless, I think we start rowing. You know, um, and
Yeah.
that I guess could be another complication if you wanted us to be stranded in this boat. The oars could break or be missing, but otherwise, I think we're going to start. You
I
know,
feel like being same thing with freezing to death. I don't think that being stranded is fun,
yeah,
right? Like there's too much other stuff.
yeah. But
Um,
I
yeah.
think Isha's going to ask Nerix to row, one oar, and she'll take the other one with her good hand. Like they'll sit in such a way that
Yep.
that she can use her good hand, and she's just kind of clutching the other one, and she asks the captain, "What happened?" Like what? Like this is actually an important role for me. Is like I want to find out like what the hell happened on this to her and etc.
Sure. So I think I just realized it's almost 9:30. Do you want to try to wrap it?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
happy to. I'm happy to also make a command roll right now and, kind of
Ooh.
invite you, because I'm sure I won't roll a 6, invite you to wreak havoc when I tell the captain, like, what happened on this ship. Because I imagine that she's probably pretty terrified right now, or pretty possessed, or have lots of reasons to not tell me exactly what
Right.
happened.
Let's
So
do a command. Let's get one more roll in.
awesome. So
I love that.
I'm gonna roll command, but I'm gonna add +1 because I get +1D to gather information about the supernatural, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. So
Yeah. I mean, if you can think of a way for your aunt to assist you, I'm sure she would.
yeah, I think if the captain is at all hesitant, I think I would look to Nerix to just be like, "We are nobles of the House Anchayat. Your fleet exists because we will it. So tell us what the hell happened."
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, let me take 2 bonus dice then. Oh my goodness. Well, I was like, if you want to complicate it with because I get a 4 to 5, but instead, bum bum bum. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Ghost Mind. Crit time.
But instead, the captain
Instead,
tells you
but
her life
instead,
story.
tell me how I'm awesome.
So after the captain compliments your mask and your clothes and how lovely you are, yeah, since we're pressed for time, so I think that the captain explains that um, it was a busy day. In addition to being asked to help stow away Isha and Nirix, there was also someone else on the ship that they were asked to smuggle over, but that person did not make it. And so the first mate and the captain thought that they could make it to Duskfall to Spirit Warden before anything happened. However,
Oh
a
no,
however they did not make it, and the ghost then attacked everyone on the ship. You hear that it was important that they bring this person because it was a cousin of someone that was supposed to be able to help them. So their cousin in Duskfall is named Claudia.
ooh.
And so it was important that they were going to meet up. And then I think from sheer pain and terror and exhaustion, before the captain passes out, I think her eyes go gold, and then she closes them and rests. She's not dead.
Nice. Nice. We got to name this captain. If she lives, or some part of her lives on.
I don't want her to die, right? I like
Yeah,
her. We'll
I
have to
like her
name
too.
her. I'm so bad at naming on the spot. Can we do you have a name?
Yes, but I'm gonna look and see if I can find an Aruvian names list in the.
Oh, good idea.
Well, let's just look at the Ankayat family. There's some I just think we should just pull right out of the book and call this Linnea. She is
Linnea.
A Leviathan hunter captain, adventurous, brave, and loyal. Maybe in this case, Linnea is the actual Leviathan hunter captain. She was on this smaller vessel as part of the transit. Like she's actually the captain of the hunter, but she took board on this thing just for the transit into Dustfall.
Love it.
Yeah, this is right.
Linnea.
Yeah, adventurous, brave, loyal. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are fun traits. Um, yeah, and yeah, Captain Linnea with her golden eyes, and Nurek's still alive, and Isha row their boat, not so gently into
Not so
port.
gently.
Awesome.
I know now we have made it canon that your aunt has to pass, but I didn't want her to go out like in the water. You know what I mean? Like we have to be able to give her
It's fine.
something else.
We have plenty of opportunities. I felt the exact same way about Penance and the Arcbenders. I was like, I know Penance and Arcbenders break up, but this doesn't have to be the score where they do. Like it wasn't in my
Right.
mind. Like it was an idea that I was holding on to, but holding on to it lightly. Like if it makes sense, if circumstances point that way. Yeah. And I also put you on a super deadly score too. I was like, Deathlands,
which was awesome.
all kinds of awful things, right? Like as prepared as you were, you still weren't prepared enough. And so I was like, well, you know, if that happens, great. And then you biffed on the last roll, and I was like, seems like a good opportunity for them to leave you behind. So I love it.
No, it was perfect. Like it fractured that trust. So,
yeah.
We're going to have to do more flashback.
I mean, clearly.
Next time we have to start with Anch so we can get more Anch time, I think.
Yeah. I can't wait for next game, but also this was delightful. Should we do XP?
Oh yeah, I forgot we get XP.
I mean, I think we do. If Jamie disagrees, we can always back it out, but I don't think they will.
No, they're.
Let's do penance first, since it was you who. God, I wish I could make this a little bigger. There's no good zooming options. But did you? We didn't have any desperate rolls because we all did all fortune rolls. That's okay. But did you adjust the challenge with technical skill or mayhem?
Yes, both.
Oh my God, so much.
so
much. You broke. You hammered through the wall. You disassembled the hull. You hotwired the lightning towers. So much.
2, I think.
2, 100%.
Okay.
Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
Yeah.
You do it 1 because this was a flashback episode about your background.
Exactly. And this is why you should all do flashback episodes. Yeah, absolutely. I think even penance being more, more trusting, waiting for everyone, right? So yeah.
I think her beliefs really came out. So I think you should take 2 for that.
Okay.
Did you struggle with your vice or traumas? Your vice is weird and your trauma is obsessed. Even though technically you didn't have it. You didn't have it then, but that's okay. Right. In flashbacks, we can still decide that that's relevant or not. But do you feel like...
No, and I really, I'm all for XP, but I want it to always narratively make sense. And there was no vice. And I really like the idea that Penance, I mean, she's an orphan. She's got some trauma. Everyone does. But she's really not struggling with the trauma right now. She really thinks that the Arcbenders is like her new family.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Penance.
Till they leave her and Phlegm.
Till they leave her behind
to get incinerated or eaten by ghosts or whatnot.
That's fine.
The story of how Penance got home is not necessarily a score we need to play, but I would love to hear it sometime. Whenever you decide how
I will put it together then.
Made it home. All right, let's do. I'm not going to do Grounder because Grounder was in that first scene, but we didn't. It
was like an intro scene. Yeah.
I'm just going to do Anch.
Okay.
Did I address a challenge with knowledge or arcane power?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think I did both of those. One was sort of call on my family's wisdom and all the stuff about like how are we going to get into Dustfall, but also like yes, the arcane power of avoiding those ghosts and frankly like commanding one in the in the
Mm-hmm.
end. Yeah, I think both of those are applicable. The next just not beliefs, drives, heritage, or background.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it. I feel like there was real towing
Even
the
in,
the family line, absolutely
yep.
doing what her family expected of her, and yeah,
Even in such a short score, I feel like little things like your interaction with the captain, like it just played true to who
yeah.
Isha is, right? So I absolutely.
All right. And did I struggle with issues from my vice or trauma? My vice is stupor, which is a result of the pain that I have from the ghost field. But
Oh,
that didn't. We didn't see her being like, "Oh, this is so bad. Give me something to
yeah.
relieve the pain." So I don't think
Yeah.
that applies. And her trauma is cold, which she picked up later. And I don't think she was cold. I think she was. She could
No.
have just been like, cut the captain loose,
But
let her die on the
you took
ship.
the
But I
captain,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think either of those. I don't even think she was doing the mental math of like. I mean, she kind of did, but it didn't feel like a real struggle. So yeah, I think that's it for me as well. Cool, and I don't think we should do crew XP because we didn't really see the
No, we're
rest.
not a crew.
Yeah,
We're not a crew yet. This is before we get together and have our um extremely complicated relationship.
I love the simple relationships that we have right now in these flashbacks that
Yes.
kind of show how our characters are more complex when we came to the real game. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like by doing these we kind of establish the main game as like season 2 or something because it's like after these characters have gone through some stuff. Like they
Mm-hmm.
have and we're now in these flashbacks seeing what some of that stuff is. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're just not as ready to just trust somebody openly because they've done it and it's worked out poorly.
Because some of us have been left at a haunted manor.
Right? I don't think the attendant is fully gone. I just want to say, like, I don't feel like the attendant, it can no longer sense, but I don't think it can no longer act. I don't think you've fully
Right.
destroyed it. So whether that means you can use it to help you or whether that means it's like a threat that you still need to avoid, like wide open there. But I don't
Yeah.
feel like, I mean, obviously you don't, yeah, who knows? I just feel
Yeah.
like the attendant is still
100%. Yes, they are.
something.
They're still there.
And also those blue coats were hollows. That was my take on hollows.
Oh, I love
So
that. Thank goodness
yeah,
I rolled a 6 on that first flash
I
bomb, or
know.
I'd still
I
be
was
fighting
just,
those
that's
hollows.
why I was giving you a -1D because I'm like, yeah, they kind of don't care about most things. I'm like, but Flash, that should work. But also they're terrifying, right? Like,
Right.
yeah, they're these soulless yet still living kind of creatures that have little spirit vessels that control them. It's bad. It's bad news.
That's so cool.
It's bad news bears. Anyway, so I'm Sean. I had a absolute freaking delight playing with you, Kristen. This is so much fun. I use he him pronouns. You find me over at Sean Nittner. I'll be back Friday to play Traveler with Judd, and also Thursday on this channel, Nibiru with Mad J and that crew. Some more actual play coming at you. Check out my Twitter for all the times and whatnot. And yeah, please join us again. And next week on our off week, we're going to come back and play the game of blades that we're going to play today. So we're going to do the whole job, where Grounder and Penance are going to go steal that hole. And maybe we'll even see Anch doing some weird stuff for the family.
I hope so.
Who knows? It does. She doesn't need to. But I wanted to make her absence not just be entirely like, well, I didn't care. Because that's not Anch. She's not apathetic. But she has priorities. So
Right. Right.
yeah. How about you, Kristen?
Yeah, it was a blast. I'm so glad that we decided to hop on and add to our backstories, because I think that the characters, including the NPCs that Jamie's created, because they're so talented, and our story are, I just know we all love it so much. So I'm really glad we had this time. Thanks for signing it up, Sean. So I'm Kristen. I use she, her pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at Kristen is no Jedi. I love gaming. I do lots of things. So I design games with my partner at Dice Up Games, and I also co-host, play in, and edit a podcast called Powered by the Players that you can find over on Geekspective Network. Geekspective also has lots of other really cool shows you should check out, lots of actual plays and interview shows. And then I just started up co-hosting a actual play live stream every other Thursday on the Misdirected Mark Network called They're a Super Geek. And our first show was last week, and our first surprise guest was Jammy. They're not here tonight, but they were wonderful. They ran Cozy Town for us, which they created. And you should check out Cozy Town because that's a fun game.
I watched a little bit of that game, and it looked so sweet and lovely.
It is so sweet. And Jammy and I were laughing because we came from like, okay, you're possessed and your partner is trying to stab you, to let's talk about rabbits doing a fashion show. Like, it was such a fun shift. Yeah, so that's it for me. Thanks, Sean. This was really fun. We have to do this again.
Absolutely, 100%. And you could stay on, but I'm going to do the thing where I do swipe. And so, friends, we'll see you all soon.